Hello, I am whipping up a quick Valentine's Day tutorial with a winged liner, some pinks, some purples, some reds. All of my favorite colors for hearts are on my face. So stay tuned, I'll give you some tips for eye makeup and how to make your eyes pop, as well as tips for how to make your lips last all through the night. So let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so before we begin, I already have primed my face and put some foundation on. I've been trying this one out for a week. So far, so good. Nothing will hold a candle to the MAC. And then I did prime my eyes with Too Faced Shadow Insurance and MAC Perky Paint Pot. So let's get to it. I'm going to be using the Lorac, it's Carol backwards, Pro, this is the Pro 4 palette. So in this palette are a bunch of like peachy pinky colors, some purples. Mostly I'll be sticking to the top here and then we'll go down here. I have absolutely no idea what this is gonna look like. It could be a disaster. Let's just go for it. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna take the lightest color possible and I'm just gonna sort of sweep it all over my eye space. I almost said face. I should totally just sweep it all over my face. And I'm doing this to sort of blank everything out and to give everything a good blendable canvas. I'm using a fluffy brush. This is a really old Sonia Kashuk brush. They don't make it anymore. But if you want, you can use like a really big fluffy brush, like Morphe brushes are pretty good, for large space. So then I'm going to take a smaller-ish fluffy brush. This is a MAC brush. The old brushes are much better than their new ones. Not important right now. I'm gonna take this and I'm going to take the color Pecan, which is like a mauvey brown color. And I'm gonna put that all over the meaty part of my eyelid. Okay, and then picking up still a fluffy brush, just a different kind. This is a Sephora Collection crease brush. Although on my eye, there's no such thing as a crease. Going in with the color Amaretto, which is like a muted cranberry matte color. And I'm going to go over that same area. This, for other people, would be a crease. This is where my eye socket line is. But concentrating the color on the outer corner and then about 2/3 of the way in. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to take, this is my personal MAC, this is a MAC 217 brush. Basically, it's a tapered blending brush, so one side is a little thinner than the other side, and as you can see, I have already used this. I'm going in with the black currant color, which is the dark purple. I'm a little bit nervous about this one. What I'm going to be doing is concentrating this mostly on the line from my outer corner of my lash line. God, I can't think today. And then into what other people call like the outer V area, but it is where your socket and then your lash line would meet and make a V shape. Okay, using a flat shader brush, and I already have put the same Amaretto color that I used right before this dark purple. And yes, it's gonna look like I have black eye. I'm gonna go ahead and line under my eyes with it. And then going in with a pencil brush and that same darkest purple called Blackcurrant, I'm just gonna dot this on my lash line and blend the two out. Okay, so there's two ways that you can sort of do this. You could, if you wanted a really dramatic eye, make the lid space probably the mid-tone amaretto color. What I'm going to do is, because I like a little color, is add a little bit of this shimmering pink just on my lids. It helps to open my eye up rather than make it closed off. And then I go back in with the Blackcurrant and blend the two together. And then just taking any sort of taking any sort of brush that you feel comfortable with for under your brows, going back in with the lightest color, which is called Chantilly, and then dotting this just under the arch and working it up into your brows to lift your brow, and then adding just a hint to the inner corner of your eyes. When we do highlight, we're gonna come back and add a little of the same highlight color here. And now it's time for some liner. Okay, so the next step that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put my concealer on. When I do anything that's sort of a heavier eye makeup, or even something where I may potentially screw up, and yes, everybody screws up their eyeliner, I go ahead and throw on my concealer after. I'm not using a very heavy concealer. I'm using, this is a MAC, what is this? This is the MAC Prep and Prime pen. I use the color Light Boost, and I'm throwing my concealer pretty far below my eyes. Okay, next up I'm going in with an under eye brightening powder. This is the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. And as you can see, it just lifts the eyes and helps to set the concealer without baking. I don't need a bake. I know enough of that in college. I am going to use the Charlotte Tilbury powder in my T-zone. I don't really need any powder with her foundation on the outsides of my face, but I just want it in the areas that normally produce an extra amount of shine. And then with my, this is like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna not use this now that I think about it. So this, I got this free, like way back in the day when Bare Minerals first came out, and I don't think I've ever stopped using this brush. I never used it for their foundation. I only ever used it to apply the warmth, and then that just sort of turned into always using it to apply my bronzer. When I do my bronzer, so this is where you would contour, and the darkness of the contour will go down here. When you do your bronzer, you're lifting it up a little bit higher because that's where the sun's going to hit you. Okey-doke. So I'm using some of my favorite blushes, as always. Tarte, their Amazonian 12-hour clay blush is probably my favorite blush formula of ever. There's really no comparison to it. The one that I just use is what color is this? Prize. It's really similar to Well Dressed. I think that's the name of the color. And then I'm just gonna go on with this a brighter metallic pink on top of it. I always like to do 2 blush colors. It looks a little more natural, just a little bit, not a lot. Ooh. And then my favorite highlighter is also Tarte. Not sponsored. It's also Tarte. This is their Exposed Nude Highlight. It's probably the most subtle of the highlights that I have, but I think it works best for every day. Okay, brows and lashes. As always, gonna use this and this. Okay, so if you're like me and you don't really like a lot of lip color, this is where we are now. You just throw this gloss on, favorite, love it. But I'm gonna try something a little bit different. I have 2 lip liners here. This is the MAC liner in Brick. And then this is the Clinique Quick Liner, and this is in the color Bonbon. I don't entirely know if they make this anymore. I'm gonna use this Bonbon one. This one I would need a sharpener for anyway, and I just don't have that kind of time. Okay. I prefer a mechanical lip pencil. I don't need it to be, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't need it to be super sharp. Lastly, I'm gonna throw on this Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink. This is in the color Voyager. It's terrifying. Okay, here we are. This is probably the most dramatic lip color that I wear on a regular basis, because let's be real, this is more my style. One recommendation I do have on these is if you are going to use something that is dark like this, use 2 very thin coats. Do your first coat sort of to find the structure of your lips, let it dry, and then do your second coat to sort of fill in because of the pigments in this, and it's gonna last a little bit longer. The formula on this is supposed to be kissable. I don't know about that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I do plan on doing a more in-depth hooded eye wing liner tutorial. This is a pretty subtle wing. I just didn't want to overpower all of the stuff. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.